Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 560, written by Drumsislyfe, the Rainbow UFO. I live on some property on the edge of Bryan, Texas, and I saw something strange about a week or two ago. I hesitated to post it anywhere or tell anyone besides my girlfriend, who I was on the phone with at the time. It was about 10 p.m. on a weeknight, and I was following my usual nightly routine of walking my dog down the half-mile-long gravel road from my house to the highway and back to check the mail. The road curves about a quarter way down, and it's a straight shot to the highway from there. As I rounded the curve, I noticed a large orb that was pulsating color and flickering throughout all the colors of the rainbow. It seemed to be hovering in the air, like at about the height of a helicopter. It was very similar in appearance to the star Sirius when it's low in the sky, like how it flickers and changes colors, but it was much, much bigger. At first, I actually thought I was looking at Sirius, and it was somehow appearing huge, like how the moon looks huge when it's on the horizon. But I could actually see Sirius itself over to the left. I couldn't tell exactly how far away it was, but it was about the relative size of like if you held a quarter at arm's length, if that makes sense. It wasn't moving at all, just sitting there in the air, and it made no noise. I had been on the phone with my girlfriend, and I described to her what I was seeing as I watched it for about 30 seconds. I then thought I heard a coyote or some other animal a little behind me. So I turned around to shine my flashlight and make sure there wasn't anything immediately around me. I had only looked away for about 3 seconds, but when I looked back at the orb, it had completely disappeared. I have no idea what this orb could be. I don't think it could have been a helicopter or plane, because I've never seen one flash rainbow colors like that, sit completely still like that, or make zero noise. I live in a dead quiet area, and I always hear helicopters and planes well before I see them. I also don't think it was a drone, because it was way too big to be a drone. Drones make a very specific noise, impossible to mistake for anything else. It was the opposite direction from the town center and the nearby Texas A&M campus, so I don't think it could have been anyone shooting anything off from their backyard or something like that. I don't even know anything that anyone could shoot off or fly that would look like that. I sat on this sighting for a while, not knowing if I should tell anyone or who to even tell. But it's perplexed me for a while now, and I'm ready to share to all who will listen. Case notes, file number 560. This would be my first telling of a rainbow-style UFO. Fascinating. Makes me think of something simple but obvious. What if the aliens who are here observing us are constantly trying to perfect or improve their own technology? Just because they're more advanced than us doesn't mean the tech they have is perfect, that it can never be improved. Perhaps they've managed to improve their tech, but as such, the light it emits, instead of just orbs that are one specific color, they rotate for some reason. I also know, given the tech they have, whenever they're seen, it's because they want to be seen, either to further societal discourse or for specific individuals. I think it's more likely the former. Think about it. If we had ships that could travel between solar systems, and we found a planet with complex sentient life such as ourselves, would we immediately introduce ourselves? Of course not. Outside of concepts like Star Trek's Prime Directive, assuming we don't develop something along those lines, but that we do want to make introductions with lower species, how would we do it? I think very slowly, carefully. It's that old adage that people just aren't ready to accept the truth. So make your ship known locally to a small number of people, over years and even decades. Introduce the very concept into culture. Maybe even deal with governments to do this. Well, that's how I would do it. Case file number 561, written by ctrl, alt, mayo. Going off script is wrecking my life. I saw an old video somewhere on YouTube about how we unconsciously have scripts ready to say during conversations with people and how we go about our daily lives. Like that weird feeling we get when we just have to say something. People say if you choose not to say anything during the conversation or choose not to do the specific action set out for your person to do it, it could create consequences or glitches to occur. I personally didn't believe this at first and thought it was just something to scare people, but I wanted to try it out and see if anything weird does happen. So one day, while I was in the living room, seated beside my younger brother who's around 10, just scrolling through my phone, he suddenly started talking about Fortnite and the new update. I wasn't really tuned into the conversation, but just kept agreeing. At one point during the conversation, it switched to talking about stars and the galaxy, since science was one of his favorite subjects. I suddenly remembered about the concept of each of us having our own scripts in the conversation, so I decided to test it out. My little brother would often ask me questions about science, since it was my strong suit at school. Sometimes I would just say random BS or an actual well-known fact. So when he asked me what the difference between seeing a planet in the sky and a star in the sky, I stayed quiet. For the first few seconds, it was just silence as he was waiting for the answer. I already had the answer, which was, stars blink and planets don't, in my head, but I chose not to say it. I got up from my seat and told him I was going to make Milo for myself. Suddenly, as I got up, he said, "Aren't you supposed to say stars blink and planets don't?" I turned around and said, "What? That's what you're supposed to say. Why didn't you say it?" At that point, I kinda got freaked out because that was word for word the answer in my mind. Keep in mind, he's just 10 years old. I told him, "How did you know what I was going to say?" "That's what they said." That freaked me out even more, because he could have just said he searched it on Google or something, so that's why he knows. I asked who they were, and it was like something out of a movie, because he suddenly looked at me, confused, and said, "I don't know either," also leaving him confused. The other incident was another day. My parents set up this foldable pool outside in our lawn. My little brother was again involved alongside my parents. My brother was swimming in the pool, and I could hear him from inside the house since the door was open. I had this urge in the back of my mind to go outside to him, but I fought against the script and made my way upstairs instead. I hear him suddenly scream, so I ran outside and saw that he hit his head on the metal pole of the side of the pool. Then he said, while laughing, "I thought you'd be standing there." My mom even laughed as well and stood on the corner where my brother hit his head on the pole and said, "You were supposed to stand right here." At that time, I didn't even bother questioning them about what they just said, because they'll just say that they don't know again. So I just laughed and went back up to my room. Basically, what I noticed was that going off the script doesn't really show much of a glitch in the matrix, but more of other people saying weird things and them not understanding what they just said. I honestly think it's just their subconscious not understanding how to go about their scripts, since I didn't do it the way I was scripted to, so they just say weird things, feeling uncomfortable. However, one thing I did notice was my life gradually becoming worse as the days passed after going off script. Examples are my door, which was just brand new, suddenly breaking off as I opened it, more loud ringing in my ears at the most random times. I have tinnitus, so I actually know what normal ear ringing sounds like for me, and other stuff in my room specifically just breaking or disappearing from existence. There are more experiences with the going off script thing, but there's my weird experiences with glitches. If you want to try doing what I did and going off the script, it's just basically you going against your gut feeling during a situation, doing a completely random course of action you would never do, or holding back a reply during a conversation. Case file number 562, written by Josh T. 123. My sister vanished from a locked room. We were at a hotel celebrating my dad's birthday. We were exiting the pool and walking back to my dad's room to eat pizza that we had ordered. I was just a few steps behind my sister and her daughter. I watched her walk into a room and, being just a few steps behind her, I didn't feel like I was confused about where she was going. Yet, when I turned to enter the room, I noticed that it said, meeting room. I thought, that's strange. They rented the meeting room so we could eat pizza? I tried to open the room. It was, not surprisingly, locked. It didn't make any sense for us to have the meeting room anyway. So I walked to my dad's room, which was 3 doors, approximately 20 to 30 feet away, and there she was. The obvious answer is that I was mistaken and simply went to the wrong room. But I don't feel like there's any way I could have made this mistake on my own. I was literally just 10 feet or so behind her. I wasn't distracted. My eyes were on her the entire time. I watched her walk in and then tried to follow her into a locked room.